Hello, welcome to April 27th, 2023. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation video. This video is something that I do every morning, or at least this exercise is something that I do every morning shortly after waking up. It's now 4:32 a.m. I do this to remember my life objectives and principles, and to check and see how I did applying these to the challenges and opportunities that I met yesterday, and to plan for the coming day. I said I corrected myself in saying that I do this exercise every day, if not the video. That's because I did have a rare lapse this last weekend of about 4 days where I wasn't making the videos, but I was still doing the exercise in my mind and out loud. It's very important that I do this. This is the thing that focuses my attention on what's important to me, so that I can have an agenda of values that I can be striving for throughout the day. As I'm going through the day, hour by hour, minute by minute, I really do keep these things focused on my mind, namely the aspiration towards being a virtuous man, where virtue is nothing more than seeking after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And with that as my focus, I then am able to distill out of the day, out of my work and my leisure hours, a better life and a better world around me for myself and others. And it really works. All right, let's begin. First, last night and yesterday. I was up before the alarm, probably a full 45 minutes last night. But it wasn't a worry. I was just thoughts, pleasant thoughts mostly, or indifferent thoughts. Just laying there listening to the night sounds. It was actually kind of pleasant. I wouldn't mind that kind of insomnia in the future. Just lying there awake listening to the night. Not worrying, but just thinking, anticipating actually, looking forward to the years ahead, the years of freedom. I hope I can stay safe and healthy to make it to those years to come. Now just 18 months away. No, 19 months away. That's right. Don't rush it, Kurt. And again, I think I said the same thing yesterday. I can't stress how much having decided a retirement date and communicated that date to others and be willing to communicate it whenever the topic comes up has impacted my well-being. Like I was in a stressful meeting yesterday, and I just thought to myself, I actually keep a calendar of how many work days I have left, and I just remembered that number of days left there is, and so I didn't worry too much about it. But yet I did my best. It's a different feeling when you feel like you're chained to that desk for forever versus your respite is coming. What else yesterday? Yesterday was a good day of work. Solid day. Got a lot done. Today's going to be a big day, but I'll get to that in just a minute. Let's do the good life. First, my 7 objectives, which are, number 1, to be always ready to die. To have my life affairs and my relationships and my life's work in a good, stable place. And they are. Number 2 is to make good and effective use of my time. To squeeze out of every day not only a productive work day, if it is a work day, but a productive, useful, interesting, ironic day of living and study. And I'm pretty good at doing that every day. I mean, I get a lot done. I start work at 6:30 every morning. And by the time 6:30 has arrived, I have done the following. I have had a shower. I've done this meditation. Well, before I do this meditation, I read a poem. I'm reading the collected works of Keats. So I sit here before I start the video and I read one poem of Keats aloud, and I think about it, and I study any new vocabulary that comes up. Then I turn this. This is why it takes me from 4 a.m. when my alarm goes off to about 4:30 to start the video, because I'm doing these preliminary things, cleaning up. I make a cup of coffee and I sip the coffee while I'm reading the poem and reading it aloud, so I don't get too far through my coffee. And then I do this, and then after I'm done with this, I sit and I type up my words. I call it my words. It's my journal entry for the day, and that takes a good amount of time to sit here while the video is uploading. I'm writing out my day's journal entry. And then from there, I upload it. Then I go over and I read the Bible, one chapter of the Bible, and I think about it and study it. And I read it in two versions. I read it in the King James edition and the the NIV, New International Version. So I do that. Then I edit one page of one of my books. I'm working on Freeway Bible Study right now. I read one page for editing purposes. Then after that, I feed the dogs and I let them out. The sun's starting to come up, just kissing the sky about then. Then I come to my desk and I do a few more things. I upload my blog. I take the words that I did and I upload those into the blog. And then I go through all my YouTube comments, and then I catch up on all my social media comments, and I answer all my email. And right about then, that takes me right about 6 a.m. So between 4 and 6, it takes about 2 hours to do all of those things. And then from 6 to 6:30, there's a buffer time there. I can have finish my coffee, change my clothes into my work clothes, and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm ready by like 6:25. I'm usually starting my work about 5 minutes early. That is a full day's worth of personal activities, right? That's all that stuff is, the stuff that I do to live a good life. You know, the writing, the video, the studying, the poem, all that stuff. So yeah, that's a good use of time. And then I have a productive day of work. If it's a work day, I go for a nice long walk with my wife and the dogs at lunchtime. At the end of the day, I spend half hour in the Discord with my Discord friends, playing my guitar, practicing my guitar while I'm sitting in the Discord, and then another nice long walk with my wife. And then after that, I usually sit, and while Yumiko's cooking dinner, I'll sit and watch a Japanese movie. Trying to improve my Japanese, and then we have dinner together, watch our show, clean the dishes, and then I go to bed. When I slip a shower in there somewhere, and I go to bed. I take 2 showers a day. I do. I know it's an indulgence. It's my compromise between the American custom of showering in the morning and the Japanese custom of showering at night. I'll just do both. I'm squeaky clean. Yeah, so yeah, number 2 is well met. Number 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, which I do through this exercise and the development of these principles by thinking about them all day long. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions. I've worked hard to become, and I work hard to remain someone who reacts well to difficult circumstances. I don't always react perfectly. Sometimes things get me, but for the most part, I'm in pretty good shape on that anymore. It's pretty rare that I lose my balance. Next is to perform good actions, just to do good things throughout the day. Number 6 is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities, so I know where the perimeter is outside which I can't reach, I can't affect, and I focus instead on the scope of control. I do that a lot at work. I did that yesterday in one of my meetings. So tempted to try to expand my reach beyond my influence. All the while, I was mustering in that one meeting, I was mustering all kinds of principles: the principle of nature, the objective of true limits, and temperance and spades. All to good ends, very good ends. Feels good just remembering it, if I do say so for myself. And then lastly, the last objective is to do just one thing at a time And do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Those are the objectives. Now, for the hiccups, for the principles. Number one is the principle of war, to always be fighting against anything that I think is true already, or that it comes to me as a proposition of truth. Let's go ahead and tally and see how well I can do. Number two is reason, and there's some principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. Reason is the frame of mind and the epistemology that I use, or at least the label that I give for the overall epistemology of trying to make sense of the world. Being honest with myself and others, objective in my view, a fierce skeptic, and welcoming of any sense of humiliation that may come when I discover that I'm wrong, being grateful that I've been shown that I'm wrong, or I've found that I'm wrong, so I can have a better chance to be correct. 3 is the homunculus. I don't think I have a soul, but I do have a consciousness, so it seems. And I call that consciousness my homunculus, the little man within the man. Feels like it's right behind my forehead here. Next is called the anchor hold. The anchor hold is the home of the homunculus, right here behind my whole forehead. It's a sheltered place in which the homunculus is trapped. There's no escape door. There's no hatch in my head from which the consciousness that I exist in can escape away when I die. It's trapped and will die with me. My consciousness, so all evidence seems to suggest, will wink out like when the music stops or the candle is snuffed out. That'll be the end of me. That's the anchor hold. The home of good and evil, that's the next one. Right and wrong, good and evil are just mere opinions that we have in our minds. They don't exist as absolutes pervading the universe. So it's important to us to use our reason so that we can develop a good sense of right and wrong and good and evil. And I do think there is a difference between the two. Right and wrong being the direction of behaviors and actions and decisions that yield either an improvement of well-being or a take away from well-being. Good and evil are the deliberate attempts to achieve either of those ends. Purpose, that's next. My purpose in life are 3. To be a good husband and father, to be a virtuous man, where virtue, as I said, I think, is whatever action seeks after the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. That would be the end that I would apply for good and evil and right and wrong as well. And then my third purpose is whatever personal purpose I choose to onboard for my life, and that would be the promotion of my book, Going Alone. Did I get that right? Yeah, that's good. I did mark it. Next is the atomic principle. Everything in the universe consists of atoms, molecules, compounds, animated by energy. It's good to keep that in mind because I have to remember that this structure that is me will very soon die and dissolve away, and to be reconstituted into something else, maybe reanimated in some new life, but that life won't be me, just be part of me. Then comes the principle of nature. Everything and everyone has some particular nature, and it's good to recognize what that is so that we can live in better accord with it. This is one of the things that I mentioned earlier about in the meeting I was in yesterday. I was remembering the nature of some of the particular individuals in that meeting so that I could not expect otherwise than what they've demonstrated that they are. The pirate ride. This principle has a funny name, and it simply is my placeholder for the idea that free will is an illusion. We don't actually have the freedom to make our choices. We are jostled and pushed and tugged along by the forces in motion in the active universe around us. Mindless for the most part, but we're like a styrofoam cup bobbing around on the sea, thinking that it's making the decision to rise and fall and move left and right, when it's really the energies of the sea and the wind that are pushing around. I think that it boils down to that's us too. course, I can't prove that. I believe this is a matter of faith. And I know that's a sin. Next comes the principle of maturity. Maturity is a state that we arrive in when we are wise, when we have the benefit of experience, and we have fortitude, the strength to not repeat our mistakes and to carry on in the directions that are successful, that have yielded success in the past. And then we can enjoy the integrity of a life where our actions are our results, our living is in alignment with our values. That's 10 principles now. Number 11, after maturity, is, I believe it's the social principle. The social principle simply suggests that we are social creatures and we need each other, right? So it's not good to necessarily go alone. Even though I wrote a book called Going Alone. Going alone isn't the aim, it's the journey. We need to come back and find our people. And the sub-principles here are diplomacy, which is the skill that we need to work out our differences with others. Justice, which is the aim we'll settle on with others to build the better city. And diplomacy, justice. I thought there was one more. Diplomacy, justice. I've got it in the book. By the way, this book is available on Amazon or at my website, goingalone.org. So all these principles are listed at the back in a chapter called The Good Life. Diplomacy, justice. Okay, diplomacy, justice. Conspiracy. Yes, that's right. That's what's missing. Conspiracy is what we do to when you and I link arms. Strive for that common goal that we've agreed upon through our diplomatic aims. Okay, the next principle is the principle of family. It's a building upon the social principle, right? So the social principle suggests that we should seek after others. Family is the nucleus that we create that forms the connections and bonds throughout our lives. And it could be this type of family, or it could be a family of friends, whatever you want. But it's good to have it. Next comes, this is where I might miss one. I should have looked, I was peeking. What's next? Okay, I think it's temperance. I think that's next. Temperance is our ability to control our consumption in life. That is, consumption of everything. Food and drink, work, play, reading, whatever we do, in moderation. And the sub-principles here are suffering, because we suffer when we tell ourselves, no, I've had enough cookies. Simplicity, because a simple life is, by extension, a temperate life. And apathy, which is the skill and tool that we use to recognize what is outside of our control or reach, and letting that be. Did I do the thing? Now I may have messed up because I may not be doing the thing. I think I'll have to stop doing this because I've lost track. After temperance comes, life will not go well. Just a simple reminder that to expect the days to be hard. And then the horror show, that's the next principle. A doubly reminder that sometimes life isn't just hard, but it's horrible. and then that which must be borne. A further reminder that we have to bear the hardship. And then the Feast of Offal, a suggestion to not spill our upset on our friends and family, but to contain it within, find other ways to manage that internal stress, but not to use others as reciprocals to receive our upset. Then comes the best seat in the house, to strive to be all right with who I am and where I am and what I'm doing. Next comes distraction. I think I got it backwards, right? I think the best seat in the house belongs two down. So let me do it that way. So forget about the best seat in the house. We'll get that again. Distraction, which is what we do so that we don't have to see the emptiness of the universe, which is the next principle called the great indifference. So distraction, great indifference, two principles that go together. We distract ourselves with our work and our play and our school and our jobs and our, I already said that, our hobbies and our sports and our church and our God, all the while so that we don't have to witness the emptiness that suggests that we're alone. Then comes the best seat in the house, which I already covered. Then comes the restless man, which is a reminder that for some of us, not all, but I think most, in our late teens and early 20s, we start to feel a restlessness for life. And we better do something about that, which is the next principle. The path of wildness, which is the embarking point on a life of adventure, or at least a experience of adventure that will become our story, here's the next principle, great life adventure. So those are three principles that go together. The restless man or woman who embarks on the path of wildness, that then yields a great life adventure, which becomes their story. These are three principles that work together. Next is the risk of avoiding risk. Actually, it's four principles. That one belongs there too. The risk of avoiding risk speaks to a spectrum and a continuum of risk versus safety, and suggests that it's difficult to find a balance between them, especially if you are one who has that seeming sense of restlessness and want to have adventure. And if you don't give yourself that adventure, you're going to regret it all your life probably. And if you overdo it and take too much adventure, then you're going to miss out on the benefits of security and society and stability, all that stuff. So it's nice to find a balance right between somewhere. Next comes a principle called sin and damnation. The sins in my worldview are 8 in number, and they relate mostly to believing things for bad reason. The first of these is falsity, being untrue, just being a liar. That's a sin. And by the way, the consequence of sin is damnation in the here and now. I don't think there's any afterlife to be damned in. The second sin is credulity, believing things too readily. Number 3 is faith, believing things where the belief is founded upon our wish for the belief, which is a circular bit of nonsense. Superstition, need I say more? That's the next one. Dogma, belief founded on tradition, or a great canonical text, or some sort of body of practice. The next one is authority, belief founded on being impressed by a leader or persuasive figure, or institution. Kind of like dogma too there. And then 2 that are not related to belief or being a liar, but spreading rumors and engaging in gossip. That's 7 and 8. All together, taken together, these 8 sub-principles, 8 sins, constitute sin and damnation. In my humble Good Life Creed. Next comes complete oblivion. Since I don't think I have a soul, and I don't think there's any God, I don't think there's any life after death. No heaven or hell, and no God to look after things. No one to right wrongs, to reward in the end, or to punish. All of that takes place in the here and now, in the one life that we get to live. That's why I get up so early. That's why I'm so active and engaging through the day. There's no time to lose. Today's the day. Next comes the principle called the season of philosophy, which is a time of life to record whatever words of inspiration seem to be generated, bubbling up through our brain and want to spell out through our creative endeavors. If you miss that chance, then it doesn't come back. Right will the words come. Next comes the principle of script writing. Script writing is a trick that I do throughout the day to plan just ahead of what I'm about to do. So I'm prepared. As I go into a meeting, I think about who's going to be in the meeting, what the agenda is, what's likely to happen, what challenges and opportunities I may face, and then rehearse them a little bit and then be ready for them. It's a really powerful thing to do, and I do it throughout the day, not just at work, but throughout my private life as well. It also helps to, in some ways, map out the immediate and near-term moments of my life. I also try to do it for the long term, too. Bullseye aim, that's next. A simple reminder that although I may script write a successful meeting, I shouldn't expect to get a bullseye. I should expect to miss the mark in some capacity. That's the nature of life, right? Next comes the uphill climb. Life is a steady climb up an endless mountain that really goes nowhere but up. The only thing you can really be guaranteed from the climb is an increased and improved vista and view of the surrounding world. And I want to climb. Next comes arena and utility. Life is an arena for the development of objectives and principles that we can use like tools to help us get by and live a better life. I think I'm near the end. 2 more left. Nothing is enough. A subtle suggestion towards less. I think that's going to be, when I get back to Japan, I think that's one of the principles I'm going to be working on. I know that's a deep well. And Japan's the right place for it. Lastly, last principle is the principle of fun. A simple reminder to have a good time today and to remember the good times of yesterday and to plan for the good times tomorrow and beyond. That's my good life creed. I think I got them all. And I think I got them all in the right order. At least if I messed up the order, I was able to correct it. Now let's talk about the coming day. It's a big day, a long day. I have to work overtime today. One of my projects has a phase go live this evening after work. So I'll finish this. I'll do all the aforementioned things that I do in the morning before I start my work. Then I'll begin my work. I'll map out what my objectives are for the day. And I'll proceed to do them. I'll go through my meetings. And I'll lead the team through the Go Life event this evening. And then I'll go to bed and call it a good day. It's a Thursday after all. I work tomorrow, but it's a working Friday, and I've got a lot of things in order. It should be a good day. Should good today. Hopefully a good evening with our Go Live, and hopefully a good day tomorrow. And then I'll have a nice weekend with my wife and my little dogs. And with that, I'll stop. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe. And with that, my life is done, if not finished. Take care.